guys, welcome back. Today I have all of my statistics from 2020, which is a video I have been looking forward to making for a really long time. The sun is setting right now outside my window, so hopefully I can do this quick before it becomes totally dark in here. Okay, so in 2020 I read 94 books across 36,139 pages. My average rating for 2020 was 3.3, which doesn't surprise me because I do tend to go for 3-star ratings when something is just like okay to me. Oh wait, I should scoot over so I can put the stats here or something. Please ignore my messy desk. Of those 94 books, 59% were adult and 36% were YA. I'm actually surprised by that. I thought that I would maybe skew a little bit more towards YA, but almost 60% adult. This next statistic is also very surprising to me regarding the format. So 64% of the books that I read were audiobooks, and 28% were ebooks, and 6% were physical books. So I read I read 6 physical books this year, 27 ebooks and 61 audiobooks, which is really surprising to me because I feel like, especially towards the end of the year, I kind of stopped listening to audiobooks, and I haven't listened to an audiobook in a couple of months. I've just been reading books I already have, mostly. The next statistic is, where did I acquire these 94 books? So according to my spreadsheet, 84% of the books that I read were ones that I got from the library this year, while 13.8% were books that I purchased, and then I think there's another couple, 1 or 2% of advanced reader copies, so those are from the publisher. Okay, so what ratings did I give my books this year? The overwhelming winner was 3 stars, with 45% of my ratings coming in at 3 stars. My next most likely rating to give was 4 stars with 22%. Then 5 stars, I was only 14.9% likely to give. I was 11% likely to give 2 stars, and then 5% likely to do 1 star. Okay, next I want to go over the genre breakdown, and this was probably one of the things I was looking forward to seeing most at the end of the year. Even though I already knew what the answer was going to be, I knew which genre I pick up most often, but it was still like cool to see. So drum roll please. My most read genre this year was fantasy. Of course. My escapism never fails me. And 30.9% of all the books I read in 2020 were fantasy. I would not have been surprised if I had come in at like 50% fantasy or something like that, because it really felt like I was mostly picking up fantasy this year. Okay, so according to my graph, my next biggest category was at 18.1% contemporary. I am really surprised by that because I don't think of myself as someone who picks up contemporary often. After that, 14.9% nonfiction, which also is so surprising to me. I can't even really think of many nonfiction books I read this year. Maybe I can think of like 1, Catch and Kill. And then after that, 10% historical, 9% classic. This is so surprising to me. And then we have an even tie of 3.2% with 4 categories: mystery, magical realism, dystopian, and romance. I said that weird. Romance. That again is so surprising to me. I don't know, the percentage just seems so small now that we're here at the end of the year. And then really quick, I'm going to break down some of my author demographics, I guess you would call it, just to see what kind of authors I was reading from this year. So first, gender identity. 66% of the authors I read identified as female, 30% identified as male, and 3.2% identified as non-binary. Next, I logged author ethnicity. So if you can see this pie chart here, 76.1% of the authors that I read were white, 14.1% black, 5.4% Asian, 2.2% Latinx, 2.2% mixed. So this, to me, it seems awful. I know it's kind of a microcosm of a bigger atmosphere so to speak. So after seeing this statistic that 76.1% of the authors that I read were white, I'm going to make a way bigger effort this year and try to get that down to at least like 50% or less. That is awful. Okay, and then one last chart is the number of books I read compared to what month it was. I had a couple of really, really good reading months, and then I obviously had a couple where I didn't read as much. I've been doing a lot of writing, especially toward the end of the year, and that started to take up way more of my time than reading at a certain point. So there was a couple of months, like I think November, where I was doing NaNoWriMo and editing another project, and I had all kinds of other stuff, and I think I read like 2 books. That's why you didn't see a wrap up from me recently. Okay, now that we have seen some of our graphs and statistics, I'm going to really quick just do kind of like a highlight reel and mention some of the books I loved and some of the books I didn't like as much. So I'll start with the books that I didn't like. That way I can end the video on a good note. So I think my worst books of 2020 were A Curse So Dark and Lonely, Gone Girl, My Dark Vanessa. I think that is it. And then my favorite books of the year, actually I should get my book bullet journal so I can show you this. Okay, so my top books for 2020 were Poetics by Aristotle, Nefertiti by Michelle Moran, Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson, which, oh my goodness, I loved that book. I understand the hype now. I think I'm gonna reread it. Even though I just read it at the very end of the year, I think it was the last book or one of the last 2 or 3 books I read in 2020. I think I'm already ready to reread it like a week later. So that's how much I loved it. And then The Book of Joy, which I've talked about in my other videos, The Power of Myth, The Meaning of Mariah Carey, my favorite, From Blood and Ash, and Catch and Kill. So I seriously loved all of those titles. And overall, I had a really good reading year, I think. For some reason, I kept thinking throughout the year, like, oh, I don't really like a lot of the books I've been reading, and I've been disappointed by a lot of the books I've picked up. And I mean, I guess I didn't really find like a new favorite book this year, which I did last year. Last year I read Song of Achilles, and it became my new favorite book of all time. But that's okay. Everything else was just good enough to keep me alive, to keep me going, keep me reading. So that is it. Those are my stats and charts and things from 2020. All right, so much love to all of my bookish friends. I seriously adore all of you. Now I'm probably gonna go fight with one of you on Twitter about like The Darkling or something, but it's fine. So I will see you guys all in my next video, and don't forget to leave me a comment and let me know like what your favorite 2020 book was. If you made a stats video, please comment below so I can watch it. Okay, see you guys next time. Bye!